Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What do you know is true without evidence? What are you certain of, right down to your bones, without proof? There's a travel agency that's been around in my town for as long as I can remember. I wholeheartedly believe it's a front for the mob. You better keep quiet or you'll be taking an unexpected trip. We'll send you on a nice, long vacation. I'm quietly convinced I made a best-selling mystery novelist change the way he writes because I criticized him on Reddit. The novelist in question is Chris Carter. The books are the Robert Hunter series. Yes, the guy who has built a career on looking for serial killers is named Hunter. He works for the Lab's ultra-violent crime unit. It's not a series that's overburdened by subtlety, is what I'm saying. They are as schlocky a bunch of thrillers as you could ever hope to find, but for some reason I can't get enough of them, despite the fact that they are very much not great. They lean pretty damn heavy on ridiculous tropes, and I've never seen a more Mary Sue lead than I have in this series, but the biggest complaint I have with them is that the same line appears almost literally word for word in the first 9 books. I made a comment about it on Reddit on an/r/books thread about your favorite terrible authors, and I went back through all of the books published so far just to prove my point. The Crucifix Killer, the famous line, doesn't actually appear in this book as far as I could find, but Hunter does drink scotch near constantly as the defining trait of his character. Across the room a stylish glass bar looked totally out of place. It was the only piece of furniture Hunter had purchased brand new and from a trendy shop. It held several bottles of Hunter's biggest passion single malt Scotch whiskey. The bottles were arranged in a peculiar way that only he understood. And so it begins. The Executioner, single malt Scotch whiskey was Hunter's biggest passion. But unlike most people, he knew how to appreciate it instead of simply getting drunk on it. Note that in this one and the next Carter doesn't even use the Scottish spelling, whiskey, rather than whiskey, despite the fact that this is literally Hunter's only character trait. The Night Stalker, Hunter's biggest passion was single malt Scotch whiskey, but unlike most, he knew how to appreciate its flavor and quality instead of simply getting drunk on it. The Death Sculptor, Hunter sat at the bar and ordered a double dose of 12-year-old Glendroach with 2 cubes of ice. Single malt Scotch whiskey was his biggest passion, and though he had overdone it a few times he knew how to appreciate its flavor and quality instead of simply getting drunk on it. The Hunter, Hunter's father had a passion for single malt Scotch whiskey. A passion that, frankly, Hunter had never understood. He found whiskey, any type of whiskey, way too overwhelming for his palate. I actually quite like this one. It's a prequel novella, so this one is a nice little meta throwback. It gets a pass from me. One by one, Hunter would never consider himself an expert, but he knew how to appreciate the flavor and robustness of single malts, instead of simply getting hammered on them. Though, sometimes, getting hammered worked just fine. This is also the first appearance of the "but sometimes getting drunk works just fine, am I right?" Addendum. It's nice to see Carter branching out a little, but after this he never looks back. An Evil Mind, single malt Scotch whiskey was Hunter's biggest passion. Unlike so many, he knew how to appreciate its palate instead of just getting drunk on it. Though sometimes getting drunk worked just fine. I Am Death. Back in the living room, wrapped in a white towel, Hunter switched on a floor lamp and dimmed its intensity to medium. That done, he approached his drinks cabinet, which was small but held an impressive collection of single malt Scotch whiskey, which was probably his biggest passion. Though he had overdone it a few times, Hunter sure knew how to appreciate the flavor and quality of a good single malt, instead of simply getting drunk on it. The Caller, Hunter's biggest passion was single malt Scotch whiskey. Back in his apartment, tucked in a corner of his living room, an old-fashioned drinks cabinet held a small but impressive collection of single malts that would probably satisfy the palate of most connoisseurs. Hunter would never consider himself an expert on whiskey, but, unlike so many, he at least knew how to appreciate its flavor and quality, instead of simply getting drunk on it, though sometimes getting drunk worked just fine. The Caller also gets double points for helpfully informing us that women just don't get the subtle nuances of Scotch. Hunter tried not to frown at her again, but he was sincerely intrigued. Women in general weren't very fond of Scotch whiskey, which wasn't at all surprising. Whiskey was undoubtedly an acquired taste, one that at first would certainly overpower anyone's palate and knock the air out of their lungs in the process. Hunter knew that only too well. The trick was to persist, to keep trying, to keep sipping it until one day it finally made sense. Women usually weren't that patient with drinks. They either liked it at first sip or they didn't. This, by the by, is how we know that the woman in question is trustworthy, because reasons. Gallery of the Dead. Back in his apartment, Hunter had a small but impressive collection of scotch that would probably satisfy the palate of most connoisseurs. He would never consider himself an expert, but unlike so many of his friends, who also claimed to enjoy single malt Scotch whiskey, he knew how to appreciate the flavors and robustness of the malts, instead of simply getting drunk on them. Though sometimes getting drunk worked just fine. That post was made in January of 2019. In April, his book Hunting Evil came out, and the line was nowhere to be seen. I didn't think much of it until his new book, Written in Blood, came out a few days ago, and also didn't have the line in it. This comment is also one of the top answers if you Google his name and the book series via Reddit, exactly what you'd do if you were looking to see if people on the internet were talking about your books. I also can't find any evidence of anyone else pointing this out in a review or such like. So yeah, in short, 3 months after I made that comment, he broke the habit of a decade of writing and finally decided that after 9 stories that used this as a crutch for Hunter's personality, it was too much. I know you're reading this, Chris. I know. That's amazing. I enjoyed reading that, thanks. It also really makes me want to drink a good single malt whiskey. Not to get drunk on it, mind. Just to appreciate the flavor and quality. Edit, as this lame comment has gotten over 2,000 upvotes, and a lot of replies. In the interest of full disclosure, I feel the need to confess I don't even like Scotch. I'm strictly a bourbon man, Buffalo Trace, or, at a push, Bullet. Sorry to have lied to you all. Wonder if your boy Chris enjoys him some single malt Scotch whiskey. He doesn't, he just knows how to get drunk off it. Reddit supermards have the ability to give unlimited free awards on Reddit. This allows them to make certain opinions more visible and normalizes paying real money for Reddit emojis. Edit, whoever gilded this comment, your mom's a tilde tilde ho. Edit 2, fine you win, u/superdargo. Currently at 56 awards. I'm deleting this account if it gets to 69. Well, that's that. Be good to each other. They are giving out free coins to spend on awards. Gee, really? I noticed I had like 700 and sure as hell did buy them. My brother deleted my game save on purpose. He was old enough to read, he knew what he was doing. I did. Oh shit, something's about to go down. Let me get my popcorn. Most of this is just busy work. To help the next generation out. Being born in a world with running water, powerlies, fast food, and fast travel, it's hard to not appreciate humans for doing everything. The average middle-class person of today has luxuries and a standard of living that far surpasses that of kings and queens from centuries ago. Don't forget about the current humans maintaining it. Currently sitting here taking help desk calls. Can confirm. There is no meaning to this. Cheers. I'll drink to that, bro. My sister ate the whole ice cream box without asking my parents. Edit, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys, but she didn't leave any ice cream. I don't know what happened to the box. Like the box too. Maybe it was just the box. 100 years from now only a handful of kids and grandkids will have any memory of my life. 200 years from now, at most I'll be a photo in an old family scrapbook with my name in the margin space. 300 years from now no one in my family will know I existed outside of a half-finished family tree. Yet ultimately all of their hopes and pains, successes and failures, dreams and depressions will be the direct result of my having existed. So it isn't that bad. Damn dog, this hit different. Got me contemplating my entire existence at 9:04 a.m. on a Tuesday. That a lot more famous actors than we realize are secretly the children of other famous actors from the previous generation. I call it the Hollywood bastard theory. A startling number of famous actors and musicians had rich or famous parents already connected in the industry. It seems the outsider making it big is more and more rare. That gardening is the secret to happiness. Sounds super strange, especially coming from someone like myself, an ex-World of Warcraft gamer. I had kids, got busy with work, wanted out of the suburbs, got some land in the country, and started planting stuff. Years later I have what I call a food forest. I have replaced lawns with fruit trees, bushes, vines, flowers, all woven together to mimic a natural forest except everything in it is edible. It has changed my life completely. I just think there's something about being outside in the sun, feet on soil, hands in dirt, planting shit. Watching it grow in the background of your life. Going out and checking on it and watching how much bigger it is getting. Watching life find it, and now you get to live with the natural world, not isolated from it. Birds making nests in your trees, frogs making home in your ponds, seeing bees all around your flowers, butterflies everywhere. Rabbits and squirrels moving in, then owls moving in to eat those. It's this wonderful trophic cascade that you started, and it's incredibly rewarding. Plus, being able to just walk outside and get chemical-free nutrient-rich dinner is amazing. You can see my food forest in my post history if anyone is interested in seeing what I'm doing. I actually think a big reason depression is such a big thing these days is because we have all become so disconnected from the life that we evolved in for the last 6 million years. We evolved walking around savannas and forests, pulling food off bushes and trees, out in the sun, feet in the soil, hands in the dirt. We couldn't be further from that, living inside our isolated homes, cars and offices. It's no wonder we're all so depressed. I think gardening is the secret to happiness. Edit. Okay, wow, this blew up quickly. I will try to answer as many questions as I can, mini-Oma style. Saving this comment for further study. Check out his subreddit and YouTube channels for more, and r/permaculture. Start small, you don't have to go all in. The more you learn, the more you put into practice, the more peaceful, meaningful and satisfying your life becomes.